Come on. Do I sound like I'm joking? Do I sound like I'm playing? When you look into my eyes, you understand what I'm saying? Let me say it to you slowly, and it may sound scandalous. I don't think that you can handle this.
Once again, we're on. He is the great Mike Steph. I am the MoJo King, and this is Hidden Gems Football, brought to you by the 19 Media Group. Mike Steph, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great today. I had a first happen in my household. My youngest participated in her first election. So she went to the polls, she voted, she feels good about her selection, and in turn, that makes me feel good as a father.
That's dope. It's too late to give people advice to vote. And plus, today is an important day, not because of voting, but because it's a trade deadline. All right. Now, Mike Steph, do you have one big thing to discuss this week?
Yeah, my one big thing, yes. Oh, you're on point today, boy. My one big thing, the New Orleans Saints, following their painful 23-22 loss to the hands of the Carolina Panthers, the Saints fired Allen on Monday morning, announcing that special teams coach Darren Rizzi, interesting name, Darren Rizzi, will take over as interim head coach. And as someone who's very familiar with interim head coaches, expect 0 to 0 improvement in their team. But I digress. Two games in particular probably played a big part in the pulling of the proverbial trigger. A humiliating blowout loss to the Denver Broncos and former head coach Sean Payton in prime time. Remember that Thursday night when they got blown out at home 33-10 and made Bo Nix look like a budding star? Yeah, I remember, and I'm quite sure ownership remember too. And this past Sunday, a loss to the Carolina Panthers on a game-winning drive led by bust QB Bryce Young. A team in which they have only won 3 games total since the beginning of last season. To me, that was the insult to the injury sustained early in that game by Chris Olave that led to him being rushed to the hospital with a concussion. But interesting thing happened on Sunday. Former Saints wide receiver Michael Thomas took quarterback Derek Carr to task in the aftermath of the incident. And I quote, "Dude, scary and panic and just throw the ball. Get him the F out of here. He is so booty." He has said that he was badly set up by a badly thrown ball. He was set up by a badly thrown ball last November by Derek Carr, in which that ended his season due to injury and effectively ended his Saints career. Now, I have been on record since we started Hidden Gems Football that I thought that Dennis Allen was a horrible coach. Yeah, keep on nodding because most savior, God QB, Derek Carr, was garbage as well. Yeah, I said it. I went there. I say all this with the full knowledge that the Saints were my survivor pick from last week, along with the New England Patriots, double gulp, in which I was wrong on both. Shake my freaking head. He's lost 7 games in a row after a 2-0 start and never got the team in the postseason in his 2+ years at the helm. His first stint in Oakland, he led them to an 8-28 record in 3 seasons. Now, listen, this is not to throw dirt on the grave of Dennis Allen. He's a good coordinator, good defensive coordinator, but ultimately, these two stops prove that he is definitely not head coach material, and that is Mike Steph's one big thing. Yeah.
Derek Carr did get Olave killed last week.
Yeah, throwing those medicine balls.
Yeah.
Shook to death, scared to look. He shook. Scared to death, scared to look. Shook. Ain't no such things as halfway QBs.
Yeah, I know. Well, I gotta say, I'm not exactly riding with Mike Thomas either, because he's a bit of a whiner there.
What do you expect? He's the nephew of Keyshawn Johnson. Throw me the damn ball. See, another JET just connection. Listen,
Always.
I'm chock full of them.
We're talking things that make you blush, but trust us, it's a must. From awkward to taboo, we're here to guide you through. It don't matter if you're a bit of a prude, it's a prude awakening.
As we shift over to Thursday night football, the 4-5 Cincinnati Bengals are heading to Baltimore to face the 6-3 Ravens. The Ravens are 6-point favorites, and the projected total is 52.5 points. That means that Vegas is telling us that Cincinnati will score 23.25 and Baltimore will score 29.25. Cincinnati has two main injuries to talk about. T. Higgins has been out the last 2 weeks due to a quad injury. I think he's still looking very questionable for this week. Zach Moss is out indefinitely with a neck injury. They just made a trade for Khalil Herbert to take his place. As far as Baltimore, they come in looking pretty healthy so far. Mike, Steph, what do you think about this game? Who you got?
Well, I'll start with the Bengals. In a rematch from earlier this year, which many pegged as the game of the year so far, a 41-38 loss, which at the time dropped the Bengals to the record of 1-4. But that just might have been the turning point. Joe Burrow passed for 5 TDs in that game. Coincidentally, he passed for 5 TDs in this past Sunday's game against the Raiders. This will be a telling game for the prospects of a winning season. Now, the Bengals, especially in the Joe Burrow era, has always started slow. But as my partner said last week, they beat the bad teams and lose to the good teams. If they are to make the playoffs again and put a real scare into the rest of the AFC as the team that you don't want to face, it starts now. The Ravens and the Chargers back to back with a bye, and then the Steelers. So if they're going to make their move these next 4 weeks, these next 3 games, they're going to have to pretty much put the pedal to the metal. Joe Burrow has 20 touchdown passes and 4 interceptions for the year. But 10 of those touchdown passes came in 2 games. And he's won in one of those 2 games. I don't know. They say numbers never lie, but I keep on swearing. Numbers be fibbing like a. Now, as for the Ravens are 6-3, and even though they're at 6-3, their record, you would think like, yeah, all right. They're probably the best and most dangerous team in the conference, if not the league. They're averaging 31.4 points per game, which is second in the league. They're averaging 445 yards of total offense, which is first in the league. They're averaging 191 yards per game on the ground, which is tops as well. The combo of Lamar Jackson and Derek Henry is working way better than anyone could have imagined. Jackson, speaking of touchdown to interception ratio, he has 20 touchdowns with 2 interceptions, but kind of spread out more evenly. Derek Henry, do you know, has already topped 1,000 yards for the year on the ground. Already? Yes. I want to say it's about 1,062. And he has 11 touchdowns on the ground. And we're just at the halfway point. They just added Deontay Johnson in the trade from the Carolina Panthers. I don't know if he's going to be active or not coming up this game. You'd think they'd probably ease him into the lineup. Now, what can't they do? Well, the defense is still a work in progress, clearly missing the strategies of Mike McDonald, who left for greener pastures. I wouldn't say greener pastures, but left for a head coaching job in the Pacific Northwest with the Seattle Seahawks. The thing is that even with this dip on defense, the offense has been so potent, and Lamar is on such a level that it hasn't really bit them badly yet. The winners are 6 of the last 7, and clearly on a mission to atone for last year's disappointment in the championship game. So now at the question at hand. Well, I will go Cincinnati +6. Not saying Cincinnati's going to win, but just based on their last game, which was a shootout, that was a 3-point loss by Cincinnati. I think Cincinnati keep this under a touchdown, so Cincinnati +6. And as for the over/under, I'll go over because even though Cincinnati's defense has improved, but it's improved against subpar teams, and Baltimore scoring against anybody. So once again, Cincinnati +6, over/under, over.
Yeah, I think I'm sort of with you. I think I'm going to take Baltimore -6 just because this year has proven that Baltimore is is just the better team. Cincinnati's yet to convince me. They've been beating the bad teams, losing to good teams, and I expect that to continue since Baltimore is at home. Baltimore seems to be clicking. The teams that they struggle against are not what Cincinnati has, and Baltimore seems to struggle against good defensive teams, and Cincinnati is just not that. As far as the over-under, it's very high at 52.5 points, but it just seems like this game is made to go over that. I expect them both to be airing it out and scoring. All right, Mike, Steph, let's move on to Survivor. I officially lost my last connection to the old original Survivors. I'm eliminated there thanks to the Saints, Derek Carr killing Olave. But I'm in some smaller Survivors, so I still could get paid. So we have to figure this out this week. All right, I'm going to mention the games that's 6-point favorites or over. You tell me if you like any of them. And then I'm going to circle back with another team that's only 5-point favorite, but I kind of like them this week. All right, we have the Cincinnati Bengals, as we mentioned, going to Baltimore. Baltimore 6-point favorite. We have the Denver Broncos facing the Kansas City Chiefs. Chiefs are 8.5-point favorites. We have the Patriots going to Chicago. The Bears are 6.5-point favorites. We have the Titans going to the Chargers. The Chargers are 7.5 favorites. And we have the Eagles heading to Dallas. Dak is injured. The Eagles are 7.5-point favorites. Mike, Steph, do you like any of these games or do you like another team?
Well, out of the slate that you just expertly ran down, I think the no-brainer. Well, I think that we have two no-brainers. That would be the Chargers over the Titans. The Chargers at home. And once again, I mean, I believe it's proven me right all year that Jim Harbaugh, just his addition with the talent that they have on that game, on that team, they win the games that they're supposed to win, and they're in the games every single week. So they will not be actually shooting themselves repeatedly in the foot. A game against this team, you would think that would be a letdown game in previous years. They would be at home, fresh off a dominating victory. They'll let their guard down. Okay, that would be one of those games that Staley would have coughed up. Jim Harbaugh, not going to happen. So that's a no-brainer for me. I have to take back that no-brainer tag on the other game I was going to say, which would be the Eagles over the Cowboys. Not saying that I don't believe the Eagles going to win, but nothing is a no-brainer when they have a no-brain head coach, Nick Sirianni, on the sideline. Like, you're up 16-0 against a team that has nothing to play for. You have them at home. You pretty much have the proverbial foot on the throttle, foot on their throat, and you go for 2 points for what? For what? I mean, did you have a prop bet on the side? Now, that game ended up being way closer than it should have been. And I really believe because that momentum that they was building up, when you fail for a 2-point conversion, it doesn't seem that way, but those are points. You can't leave points on the board. So that would have been a no-brainer, but I'll step back from that. The Rams of Los Angeles. They're only favored by 2.5 points at home on Monday night, and that'll be a game that we'll get into later. But the Dolphins are 2-6. And once again, I think this is one of these weeks you was talking about that you might have to take a chance. I think if you put my back against the wall, I think the Rams would be a good pick for a survivor pick. Not my pick of the week, but still one of those off the range picks. The Rams.
Huh. That's interesting. We're going to get back to that on Monday because I think we may disagree there a little bit. My pick, well, first of all, I 100% agree with you as far as the Chargers and the Eagles. Those would be my main two to look at as far as feeling pretty safe. But YOLO, let's go for it. You think about it, you have 18 weeks they have to pick Survivor. That means you have to take 18 of these teams. That just means that some of these teams you have to take aren't that good. And I am turning completely around from where I was weeks ago. I am going to take the New York Giants. I think they're going to win this week. I think this is the time to take them. There will be no other time in the season that you will feel safe with them. This is the time to go take that gamble, go with the Giants. We're going to discuss that more because that's the team coming up. But that is my survivor pick for the week. I might go all in.
I'm flabbergasted. I'm shocked. I am actually a little bit giddy. Okay. Listen, I can't say anything negative about the Giants. So I'm finally, thank you. Come on the bandwagon. Thank you. All right. Now
I needed you back on my side after the Derek Carr stuff.
Did you have to bring him up? Like, hopefully we don't have to ever talk about him or the Saints ever again. Do they have any more primetime games? Hopefully not. They get flexed. They'll probably get flexed if they do. Because my Jets got flexed out of a primetime game. So yes, they got flexed out of the Sunday night game against Indianapolis in a couple of weeks. I'm actually happy if it got flexed to a 4 o'clock matchup. I don't need to have a spotlight on how bad we suck. Yeah, I know they won last week. So what?
I agree.
This is a 19 Media Group presentation.
What happened, baby? You want to say hi?
No.
Okay, bye.
Bye.